I've got 2 minutes after 1400, so the meeting will come to order. First thing to do is a roll call. Mr. Albanese is absent. Mr. Kopp?
Here.
I'm here. Ms. McAllister?
Here.
And Mr. Smith?
Here.
All right, outstanding. The items we have on the agenda for today are the school year calendar for 2016 and 17, the specials at the elementary schools, McDonald and Van Voorhees, dual enrollment programs, and an update on our progress towards a long-term program. Our summer schedule, including student orientation and registration requirements, Common Core implementation, or what we call for DODEA, it's College and Career Readiness Standards, and then the high school principal selection process update. So with that, Dr. Calvano, did you want to address the school year calendar?
Yes. I was remiss in not sending out an explanation to parents regarding the evolution of the school calendar. As you may know, the calendar that was finally adopted after the school board asked my headquarters to change their decision. The decision that was originally made was school was going to start August 23rd, and the first semester was going to end sometime in January, et cetera, et cetera. Whereas in the past, school began the first, second, or third day in August. Every 9 weeks we had a break. When winter recess came, first semester was over, so secondary students that were leaving, transferring, they would have earned and did earn half a credit per class. The summer recess period was shorter, which positively impacted learning regression. So anyway, that's the calendar that we had for the past 12 years or so, and that's the calendar that I had submitted to my boss, hoping she would agree to that. And another decision was made, as I said, for school to start around August the 23rd, that kind of thing. Then the school board contacted my boss, and she agreed to allow us to continue using the calendar that we had for the past, as I say, 12 years or so. So that's the long and the short of it, and I asked the principals to send out the school calendar, and but I didn't have that explanation, and I should have had my thinking cap on and included a brief description of the evolution of the calendar.
So as we walk back through, let me, if you don't mind, I'll jump in for just
Sure,
a second.
no, yeah,
So as we went back through the process, so we were probably surprised by the changing calendar as anyone. So there was it was a decision made at DDES, as I understand, in Peachtree City, or was it made actually?
Well,
in HQ DODEA?
it was influenced greatly by our headquarters at the Mark Center, and my supervisor down at Peachtree City made the decision she made because of the influence that came from above.
So as we went back and looked at it, we just spent some time starting in January looking through what were the advantages, what were the benefits, and what were the drawbacks. So what was given to us were essentially all of the disadvantages of it. And quite frankly, while there were some advantages, most of the advantages seem to fall towards the academics. And I know, following up on the Facebook, and I've tried to engage in some of the discussion on Facebook just to make sure everybody understands what the decision was and why we made the decision that we made. There was very little support for the calendar that we received. There was very little feedback that we received that was positive for the calendar that was decided on by DDES or by HQ DODEA. So we went back, we re-looked at it, and we said, okay, the one that really makes the most sense is the one that gives you a natural break time over the winter holiday, that ends the semester at the winter holiday, rather than having to go through the winter holiday and take finals 2 or 3 weeks after, I think it would have been.
Yes.
The other thing is we are here and engaged in a lot of different activities with the local high schools. And so, you know, one of the things I asked about initially was sports. What I was told is there was virtually no impact on sports. Anything that was out there would be minimal. There were practices and whatnot that occurred before the school year started anyway. We could deal with we could deal with all of the challenges with sports. The issues then were the challenges that happened toward the end of the school year, when you looked at things like Boys State, things like Girls State, the Hugh O'Brien Youth Leadership Seminar, I believe it was, that came up, a number of those things that come up at the end of the year, to include AP exams. We would have had about, after AP exams and other exams, we would have still had another, I forget, several weeks after, about a month after, that students could have, would have been wasted for the kids in the AP exam. In addition, so there was conflict with the, if you go to the Ed Center and look at some of the dual enrollment classes that kids could sign up for, there was conflict with the dual enrollment classes. So kids would have been there last week in high school while the Ed Center was starting up teaching classes that the high school students could have taken for dual enrollment. So when we looked at all of those, and I will tell you, all of the things that really kind of stuck out to us were really more academic than extracurricular. And the things that were extracurricular were things like Boys and Girls State. So that was, as we walked through the process, that was the decision that we made, and so we went back to Dr. Huddleston and requested that it be changed. I didn't expect that they would be able to change it this year, but I expected that they would be able to blend it back further this year. Dr. Huddleston did indicate that we could change it this year, and a decision was made to change it this year. So, if I missed anything.
I guess one point of clarification for those parents that have entered into some sort of contract, whether that's travel or a camp or something like that. It's my understanding that the principals have some leeway to deal with those case-by-case basis.
Okay, so we know that, yeah, that's the other thing I was going to bring up. We know that things have happened, plans changed in the interim, people saw the school calendar, they relied on it. There was some confusion for a while because what was on the website, I think, was different from what was being put out in the email. So there was a little bit of confusion that way, and I know folks made plans based on that calendar that was published, I think, in January, February timeframe. So, and that was one of the things I asked Dr. Calvano, is if we could go back and look at, on a case-by-case basis, you know, minimize some of the impact to individuals who, in the meantime, had made other plans. So, if there are issues or concerns, I think we can address those one by one. And if somebody wants to reach out to me on Facebook or, you know, through the Facebook page, you can reach out to me through the Facebook page. You can reach out to me on my individual Facebook account, email. I'm on the Global. Feel free to reach out as individual issues arise if you need some assistance with those. Okay, other discussion issues?
I think this is a good opportunity, since the communication on putting out the calendar initially all the facts of it didn't reach everyone. Maybe we could get the facts out to everyone that there are options that the principals can make some different arrangements, because I haven't seen that from the school officially yet. I've seen it from the board, but we have limited time as volunteers, and I just ask that the schools maybe look at this as an opportunity to refine how we get the message out, maybe even social media.
Yes, I agree.
Okay. All right. Other questions, discussion? Okay. Moving on to specials at McDonald and Van Voorhees.
Yes, some parents would like to send their school-age children to another school other than the one that they're supposed to be going, and there are various reasons, like the offering of Spanish. We do that at Van Voorst, but not at McDonald. Some would like exception because they'd like all of their children to go to the same school, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. So in the next week or two, I'm going to be, through the principal, sending out an email to parents saying that if you would like to not send your dependent or dependents to the school they're supposed to go, to capture that in an email, send it forward. We'll look at them and we will accommodate everyone that we can. The only problem we face is maintaining some sort of reasonable balance in enrollment between the schools. So if we can maintain a reasonable balance, then, and the requests are not so expansive in number, then we will accommodate as many of those requests as possible.
Frank, do you foresee any transportation issues with that?
The parents would have to transport.
Okay.
So the issue that's come up is if I wanted to, if my child currently goes to Van Voorhis and I want my child to go to McDonald instead, I would have to provide transportation
Yes.
to that school.
Yes.
Okay.
And I think one of the associated issues with this topic was the perception by parents that maybe their student didn't have, or basically, students in both schools should have access to the same specials. So that if one school had the grant for Spanish, that it wasn't fair to the overall population. I think that was the basis of this concern.
Our headquarters determined that throughout the stateside schools, only select schools would be able to offer Spanish. And we can't deviate from that. So that's why, for example, we have Spanish at Van Voorst and not at McDonald. There's nothing that I can do about that.
How do the numbers play into that? Because I think the last I saw was that the new King Solver is designed for 635, and there are 100 or so more at Van Voorst, so they're going to have to transfer directly. Will that help that balance?
We're going to have 1.5 Spanish FLES teachers for the next school year as it stands. So we probably will not get another half or a whole in that area, nor will it be offered at McDonald as it stands, and I'm sure it's not going to change. Does that answer?
It might help out if some parents did switch from Van Voorst to McDonald. In the change, maybe they could help balance some more if there is an overcrowding issue in the new school.
I don't know that that's a distinct possibility, but if something like that can happen, we would certainly accommodate. Balance is the key. So if we have enough parents who want to do this or that and provide the transportation, that's something that I'm certainly open to.
The only difference between the two school specials is the Spanish class, right, Frank?
Yes.
Van Voorst offers Spanish, but they also
Yes.
offer everything that McDonald offers,
Yes.
right?
Art, PE, music, etc.
Right.
Other questions? Okay. Moving on, dual enrollment.
Mr. Kirkendall, anything you want to say about dual enrollment? Go ahead.
We have 12 students who are want to be enrolled in algebra. We were trying to work the language arts and algebra together, but we didn't have enough students enrolled for that language arts class. So we're in the process of getting our art teacher certified to teach with Western, and once we do that, we will let parents know and advertise it more widely. We've just been going in the classrooms, and we have 12 who are committed to that financially. And the price went up. We were misinformed. Originally it was $50, But now I think it's around 200, 250 for the course.
Oh, which
so-
school is that with, sir?
I'm sorry?
Which school is that with? Through?
Western?
Okay.
Yeah, here on site. So we will provide the teacher during the instructional day, and I think it'll be successful.
Okay.
Any questions?
Yes, so for parents that are moving here this summer, if they want their students to enroll, they need to take the SAT, and what would be the cutoff to apply or enroll in the dual enrollment course?
That's a good question. I think they're going to have to take the ACT or SAT, come in with a GPA of, I think it's 3.0. So I don't know that to be a cutoff. I mean, first day, as long as they have that requisite information for the university, then we'll get them enrolled. Any other questions?
How would parents for next year know about this now then? How would a parent with a student coming in from, say,
Well-
Camp Zama or Fort
Right.
Campbell know?
If they contact the school, come to the school, and obviously we'll get it
During
in our
registration, probably,
master
right?
calendar and send it out
Yeah,
to
during
parents.
registration.
I don't think that's a good way to go because parents coming in from another installation or Army assignment, they're going to be choosing between schools around here and they don't have a picture. We kind of discussed that last time about how parents would know what's available for summer dual credit classes or fall dual credit, what we're going to have. It's important to these military families to know their options.
Yeah, it's the,
We can put that on the Fort Knox High School webpage, the
yeah.
business of dual enrollment.
we sure can, yeah, no problem.
I'd suggest putting up the memo from Dr. Curtis also, and that we
On
have
the
a,
dual, yeah, right. got
maybe
it.
advertising that we have a new program, because this is
Okay.
unique to Fort Knox. We can say Fort Knox High School has this new program, and it's a reason to come here, but we just, it concerns me that we still haven't advertised it that way.
Oh.
The information flow is more, you have to pull the information, and you have to do a little research and find out who to email or who to know and who to contact and get the email, where we could just push the information and everybody has access to it.
We'll get on the website. Thank you.
One last question,
Yes.
please. So how would you characterize the nature of the student, of the 12 students taking the algebra course? Are those students that you would have seen taken AP Calculus their senior year, or do you think it's a different group of students?
No, I think you're probably right. Advanced placement courses, they'll be looking at that option, and they'll get 3 credits towards college. So I think for some it may be more desirable because most of them won't test out of that college algebra course potentially. So it's good to have it there and have the support of the teacher every day.
Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you very much. Okay, so I guess that leads into a good question, and the next, one of the concerns the board had is with the summer schedule, student orientation, registration requirements. As we look at the new schedule, I guess when do we have dates identified for the student orientation, registration, how that's going to happen over the summer months?
Yes, and you also had an issue with the website for folks to be able to register online. Is that correct?
Yeah, that's correct.
But anyway, the student orientation and registration, I believe every principal has sent out emails to parents about that, correct? Okay. All right, so that'll be going out soon then, right? Okay. And regarding the website, I spoke to the principals about that, and they said that that's working fine, that they've received no complaints and no one having issues about being able to register online. So if you have more information on that, I'd certainly would appreciate it, and then I can, work that better, but they're telling me that there are no issues.
Okay, so,
So, I'm sorry, we are able to register for school on the DODEA website?
Sorry?
It's a little hard to hear. This is our future performing arts center too for the school, so it's a little cavernous. Parents are able to register on the website now?
And have been able to,
Okay.
yeah.
Because I brought my registration forms from Fort Knox High School. We received about 70 pages. Some of them are filled out by hand. And it surprised me. I think the mailing cost was $4. If you multiply that by the whole high school, I think we should look at that as an area where it's ripe for process improvement.
Yeah, in terms of filling out the forms and what the forms are, that comes down from above, so the way it is the way our headquarters wants it to be. That's not something we decide locally.
Actually filled out by hand, though, by
No, I'm sorry. You're suggesting what again? I'm sorry?
I've received the whole paper registration packet mailed out at school expense. I haven't seen anything to promote online registration, so maybe.
Are you unaware that registration can occur online, student registration?
Well, personally, we did that registration when we arrived here, and each schools we went in, at Walker, at Mudge, at middle school, and at the high school, they told us, we don't use the online registration, you have to fill out these packets. And that's been 3
How long
years
ago
ago.
was that?
3 years ago,
I
sir.
had the same experience last year.
Well, I think we had this discussion in the last meeting too, where we couldn't do the online because the money wouldn't get allocated per student until you actually signed in to post. So that's what somebody tell me if I'm wrong, wasn't that discussion we had during the last board meeting? Because we had recommended going to an online version of this, and obviously there's one created, but we had been going to the analog version because it was tied to funding.
Between us, I think we discussed it, but I don't think it was at the meeting.
So that you had to actually, so that was my understanding, that you actually had to, that I walked away with as well, is that you actually had to be here physically to register your student at the high school or at the middle school or grade school.
Is that the case, folks? By principals, is that the case? So online registration really is not online registration then, huh? Is that right? So can you do partial online registration, but you still have to go to the school? Is that the deal? Okay. Okay. Orders. And then at the secondary level, the student needs to have a schedule, right? Yes.
Okay.
Well,
So,
it is what it is.
okay, so understanding that, so for folks coming in, is there a way we have some idea in advance of how many folks are coming in? Because I've watched this in every school district, every place I've been to, where there's a whole bunch of last minute concerns about, hey, do we have are we in compliance with the ODEA staffing guidelines? Do people who come in July don't maybe necessarily understand that it's advantageous for me to go up right away, or the school may not be open over July for them to go up and do the registration. So I guess what I was trying to get to more with that is there a period of time, when should folks come to register their child over the course of the summer? How can we minimize or mitigate some of the friction to make it easier for these great folks out here as they're trying to work through staffing standards and other issues kind of at the last minute? Ma'am.
I work at the high school. I'm not in registration, but the schools are open throughout the summer, and we have the registration information there in the office. The give the parents, and my advice would be to the parents, when they call, if I answer the phone, and they say, when is registration day? And I say, ma'am and sir, there's a ton of paperwork you have to fill out. You need to stop by the school as soon as possible and get the paperwork so we can get your child registered and get it set up for the counselor to meet with the counselor so they can schedule class.
Okay, I got here just a year ago, Ms. Weatherington. I don't remember. Do you know, is it on part of in-processing? Is it on the in-processing form?
It is on the in-processing form.
Okay.
As a matter of fact, I get most of those phone calls, and I let the parents know where to go, when to go, and how to go. There are no school districts that you can enroll in online. There are none, because it is always driven by where you reside. And I tell parents that because you need to know where you're going to live before you can know where you're going to go to school. So, with that being said, I brought copies of my website to hand out to everyone because I'm linked to all the school districts, so they can always go through my link to get to the school districts.
Okay.
Okay?
Outstanding.
Thank you.
Ms. Weatherington is our school liaison officer, thank you, ma'am. I appreciate that. Okay. Other things that we can do to minimize some of those concerns? Dr. Washington, Mr. Kirkendall?
We have that information on our websites,
Okay.
right? And we put the information in the local newspaper.
Okay.
And obviously, we don't know who is new